This lesson is called Success on the First Day of School. And I actually learned a lot. Like really, I actually learned a lot when I was preparing it. It was really interesting and I think you guys will like it. So to start off, we want to think about the first day of school. How many of you guys have ever been to a first day of school? How many of you have been to more than 10? More than 14? If you include every single class in college, right, we've been to like 30 first days of school where the teacher presents himself and the class. We should be experts, right? So each of you have a whiteboard marker, and I'd like for you to come up and write down what you think teachers should do on the first day. So you'll have about 2 minutes to write 2 ideas of what you think teachers should do on the first day of school. What do you want to spell? Oh, whew, I don't even know if I know. S-Y-N-L-A-B-U-S. And it might be wrong, but I won't judge you. Thank you. When you're done, you can leave your markers and go ahead and sit down. Thanks so much. Thank you. All right, so you guys have lots of wisdom. You've been to lots of first days of school. Let's see what you got. Talk about giving a syllabus. That happens almost every time. The teacher introducing himself. Again, the teacher introducing himself. Talking about rules. You wrote that, right?
No.
You wrote it. Lorraine wrote it. Why do you think it's important to talk about rules?
Kind of like setting expectation what the classroom would be like.
Yeah, I like it. Knowing students' names, why did you think that was important?
For me, when I started my first day of 5th grade, my teacher knew everyone's names in the class. So it really made you feel like, okay, I feel important, especially on the first day of school, because teachers are still like learning your names throughout like the whole month. So
Very cool. Having fun introductions kind of goes along with these introductions. Introducing everybody to each other and introducing the course outlines, like what they can expect in the class. Yeah? Cool. Well, you guys had some great ideas. The article that I read talked a lot about the first day of school and how we need to make sure that we're teaching and doing the most important things so that we can have a successful school year. So let's talk a little bit about what we're going to learn during this lecture. So there's 3 different objectives that we have for today, and I want to read them together. So I'm going to read them out loud, but I'm going to pause. And when I pause, you have to fill in the word. Does that make sense? So for example, this word you're going to say stages. So I'll say, identify characteristics of different
stages
of teachers. So we want to be able to do that. Explain the 4
characteristics
of an impactful teacher. Come up with
ideas
of how to use those 4 characteristics in your
teacher classroom.
Yeah, cool, thanks for following along. So this is what we want to be able to do. We want to know what are different teachers like, how are we going to be the best teacher, and what do we have to do on the first day in order to be that best teacher. Another way to look at it is in this little organizer of what the lesson is. So there's 4 different stages of teaching. You see them here. And then there's 4 different key characteristics of an impactful teacher. So we have the 4 stages: fantasy, survival, mastery, and impact. And then the different characteristics, which are organize and structure, consistency, control, and proficient and effective. So throughout this whole lecture, you can kind of pay attention to these key points, and a little hint, they'll be in blue. So it'll be really easy. Feel good? All right, let's go ahead and jump right into it then. So the first of the the stages of teaching is called the fantasy stage. So this is a picture of a teacher in the fantasy stage. What do we notice about this teacher? What do we notice?
He's happy.
He's happy, yeah. What's he doing? He's looking like he's having a lot of fun.
Juggling.
He's juggling. Do you want to answer the phone first? I'll get it. All right, no cell phones in class. Yeah, so he's juggling. He looks like he's having a lot of fun. He's wearing like goggles. What do you think he's trying to do for his class?
Interacting.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe demonstrating, making it interesting.
Yeah, so let's go ahead and now read the description of what a fantasy teacher is trying to do. Who can read the first point for me? Who can read this? Simone? Go ahead.
Think that they just have to be a friend to their students.
Uh-huh. You can read the second one.
Have you ever talked about standards, assessment, or achievement?
Mm-hmm. And I'll read the last one. Their goal is to entertain. Now, does that picture make a lot of sense?
Yes.
That teacher is definitely trying to entertain. He's in the fantasy stage. Thinks that he can be best friends with all of his students, and then he just wants to entertain them. The next stage is kind of when reality sets in, and they realize that teaching is really hard. And so now they just want to survive. So we're going to read these together. So again, I'll pause, and you'll fill in the words. So, survival teachers spend their
Time.
looking for busy work. They focus on keeping students,
Quiet.
not student achievement. Their paycheck is their,
Survival goal.
So why do you think this picture is an accurate description of a survival teacher? What do you think? What do you think? This picture has a man with a quiet sign.
I think it's related to the second bullet. Like it's focusing on keeping the student quiet.
Does it look like he's really worried about their learning?
No.
No.
Not so much. He mostly just wants to live until he gets paid, right? That's the survival stage. And then after that comes the mastery stage. And as you can read here, the mastery teachers are really trying to be professionals, right? They're trying to learn everything they can about how to teach. Their goal is to help their students achieve, good goals. And you can tell that a teacher is a mastery teacher because they'll go to different classes, seminars, they'll do research, kind of like what we're doing right here in this class, right? We're trying to be mastery teachers. And so here we have a picture. And I want you to tell me if you think that this is representing a mastery teacher or not. Or if you're not sure, you can do this. So what do you think? Is this a mastery teacher or not? Does this look like someone? Yeah? No? Not sure? Not sure? You think that it is. Why do you think that this is a mastery teacher?
She looks smart.
She does look a little bit focused, right? She has a computer right here. She looks focused.
Focus, thinking,
Mm-hmm.
deep thinking.
Yeah, maybe she's really thinking about how to be a better teacher. Maybe. Anybody else have a comment on this picture? Do you agree?
Maybe she's lesson planning for her next class.
Yeah, I don't know about you, but this is how I felt when I was making
Yeah.
this lesson plan. I was like, woo! So we know that this is what it looks like to make a lesson plan, right? So yeah, I think it's a pretty good picture of a mastery teacher. Now the very last stage is very similar. It's called an impact teacher. So an impact teacher also has good mastery of how to be a teacher, but it goes a little bit further. Impact teachers have their students come back 10 years later and thank them for really changing their lives. So this is our goal, right? I mean, we don't want to just get students through a year of school. We want to change their lives. We want them to be better after being in our class.
Is it still happen now?
Sorry?
Is it still happen now?
I think so. Have you ever had a teacher like this? That you can really thank for changing your life?
Not that.
Has anybody had a teacher like this? Yeah, can you tell us a little bit about that teacher?
My first grade teacher, I actually still see her when I go back to California.
Yeah?
She had my younger sister too, and so my mom works at the school that I went to for elementary school, so whenever I go visit, like, I see her. I like remember being a first grader when I see her. So she's definitely impacted me to who I am, I guess.
Very cool.
Yeah.
What kind of change?
What kind of change? To actually try on my work, because I remember in first grade I used to be a crybaby.
Mm-hmm.
So she always used to be like, you can do it, you can do it. And so, yeah.
Good. I'm glad you got to have a teacher like that. And I really believe that this is possible. It's not just some fairy tale idea. This is possible. And we're going to talk about how we can do it, how we can really make a difference in people's lives. But first, we're going to do a little bit of review on these 4 stages of teaching development. So we're going to play a little bit of a game, because I like games. We call it an activity so that it seems more professional. So in your groups, in your pairs, you're going to choose one of the 4 stages. Who remembers the first stage?
Fantasy.
Fantasy, that's right. And who remembers the second stage?
Survival.
Survival. The third one?
Mastery.
Mastery. And the 4th?
Impact.
Impact. Great, you guys are awesome. I had to read this like 12 times before I remembered it. You're superstars. Okay, so you're going to choose one of these 4 kinds of teachers, and you're going to act like that teacher, right? So if I chose fantasy, I'd be talking to my other teacher, and I'd be like, I'm so excited for the first day of school. The kids are so cute. I have the best game. They're going to love it, right? And so I'm going to act like a fantasy teacher. And then my partner would have to guess what kind of teacher I'm being. So based on my attitude, based on what I'm doing in the classroom, you have to guess whether I'm a fantasy teacher, surviving, if I'm a master, right? Does everybody understand?
So are we like me and Simone?
So you'll do it in pairs. So each of you has a character.
Yes.
And each of you is guessing the other person's character. Does that make good sense?
Yes.
All right.
Okay.
So we're gonna ready, set, go.
Yeah, one first.
Oh, me first.
You first. Okay.
Yeah, stand up. Have a little bit of fun.
Go.
Good. Now go ahead and act like you're a teacher.
Do you want me thinking?
What?
Okay. Hello, Mr. Simone. I just came by and stopped by to thank you for all your teaching for me. I remember something important that you said. If you want to know a value of a thing, you shall put it on the test. And I applied with all my lives. Thank you. What is it? Oh.
Awesome. So now you're gonna act like were you able to guess? What did she do? Mastery. How did you act like a mastery teacher?
Just like I spent
You're supposed to be doing work. How come you're not doing your work?
I wanted to make it correct.
Awesome. You guys are so great.
Yeah.
I love it.
Stop talking. You have to do your work.
I'm fine.
Do your work. Shh.
I don't want to cry. It's Simone's class.
Okay, which one?
Number 2.
Yes.
Do you remember what number 2 is called? I erased it, sorry.
Survival.
Good job. That was perfect. You guys did an excellent job of not only knowing what the 4 stages are, but really being able to see what those stages would look like. And that'll be great because then as you do those things in your own classrooms, you'll be like, oh snap, I'm acting like a fantasy teacher. Oh man, I'm acting like a survival teacher. And when you recognize those things, you'll be able to change them. So great job. We're gonna go ahead and move on to things that impactful teachers do. And all of these things are things that you can do on the very first day of school. So the first thing that we can do is organize and structure our classrooms. And we have a quote right here. That's straight from the text. It's really good. All these quotes are awesome. So can I have a volunteer to read this quote? Go ahead. Thank you.
The second one.
Just right here.
The ineffective teachers begin their first day of school by covering the subject matter or doing a fun activity. These teachers spend the rest of the school year chasing students.
So what happens when the teachers just play games on the first day?
Chasing the students.
Yeah, they don't have control over their classroom. They don't have any structure. Let's read the second part. Can you go ahead and read the second part?
The effective teachers spend time organizing and structuring their classrooms so the students knew what to do to succeed.
Exactly. So if I want to be an impactful teacher, really effective teacher, I need to spend a little bit of time, right? I need to spend a little bit of time deciding the organization of my classroom. And then right on the first day, I can present that organization to my students and they know this is what's up, okay? So an idea of how you could do this is use a script to organize the first week of school. You know how we planned this lesson very step by step? We should do that on the first week of school too, so that we can set really clear expectations. And then this question is for you to think, as we move on to the next slide, what other kinds of things should be organized in the classroom? So I'm going to go ahead and think about that. What other sorts of things should we organize in the classroom? I'd love to have time to talk about it, but we don't. So another thing you can do is be consistent. What does consistent mean?
Like keep doing the same thing.
Uh-huh.
I mean, not like exactly the same, but a certain task the same.
Right. For example, if I yell at you for having your phone out in class while she's texting over here, how are you going to feel?
Unfair, like it's unfair.
Seriously. And then you'll probably take your phone out again because sometimes I let it slide and sometimes I don't. So right, we can have a perfectly organized classroom, but if we're not consistently doing those things, it's not going to have any power. So how long, according to the sentence, should we spend establishing our expectations?
2 weeks.
2 weeks. Is that too much time? 2 whole weeks, like going over procedures? And why, you said no, why isn't it too much time?
We're kind of setting the foundation in 2 weeks, but it's good for the rest of the semesters or the year.
Exactly, it's like investing your time, right? You do a little bit at the beginning and it really pays off. Perfect. All right, let's move on to control. Control. It's easy to think that control means like threatening or, intimidating, but this is what control really means. So I'm going to read and you guys are going to fill in the blanks. Control means you know what you are
Doing.
You know what you are.
Doing.
Okay. You know your.
Classroom procedures.
You know your.
Professional responsibilities.
So if I want to have control, I just need to know what on earth is going on, right? I need to know what my job is, my responsibilities. I need to know how I'm going to do it, my procedures, and I need to know what it is that I'm doing. And that's what control really is. And so here's an interesting question. What do I do if a student is trying to take control? Like if a student is talking back, what do I do? Later on, we're going to watch a video of a teacher who's really, really great at classroom control on the first day. So I want you to think about this question, and we'll find an answer to it in a little bit. So the last practice or characteristic of an impactful teacher is being proficient and effective. And those words are used a lot, but I couldn't define them before. I really like these definitions. They're super simple. That proficient is possessing knowledge and skills, right? So if a doctor is proficient, what does that mean?
Yes, the knowledge and skills.
Yeah, he knows what he's doing. Would you want a doctor who wasn't proficient? No. No, thank you. And then effective is the result of proficiency. So if I know what I'm doing, if I have this knowledge and skills, I'm going to produce good results. So proficient and effective means I have the knowledge, and because I use them, I have good results. And there's great quotes on here. I can put this PowerPoint online so that you can read all of these quotes when you have more time. But now I want to look at how this actually looks like in a classroom. I found an incredible video of a teacher on the first day of school. He's a 9th grade English teacher. How many of you guys want to teach high school? You want to teach high school? And then elementary school? The rest of us? Perfect. So you're going to see someone teaching a high school classroom, but there are things that we can apply to. So everybody should be looking at what kind of teacher is here. Is it a mastery teacher? Is it an impactful teacher? Is it a surviving teacher? And then you should also see, is he using these principles? So I want you to think about these things while you watch the video, and we'll talk about it after, right? We're only going to watch a little bit because we don't have a ton of time. Okay, so this is the very first day of their class. They're walking in, and this is what he does.
3, I see you silently starting your survey. That's the expectation. Hi, good to see you. Sit in seat 26, please, which is like by the projector screen. Period 3, I look around and I see people silently working on that survey. Good. Hey. Can you please sit in seat 4, with the 4 on the back of it, and silently start your survey and grab that piece of paper, too. Hi, Luis. Good to see you. Luis, sit at seat 7 and silently start your survey. Hi. Good to see you. Sit at seat 18, right behind Christina. 7. Young man, what's your name? Giovanni? Giovanni, come back. Hi, good to see you, Aurelia. Aurelia, I want you to sit at seat 15. It's got the 15 on the back of it, and here's your survey. Giovanni, I know you were probably talking about your seat, but you can't even whisper about that. So that's your verbal warning. Okay, go to your seat and silently start your work.
Okay, so I want you to think about what this teacher did as the students were walking in. And in your partners, talk about what you noticed based on what we've learned today. So go ahead and you'll have about 3 minutes to discuss what you saw in this video. That's a really good point, because it would be easy for him to say mean, right? Because he's so strict. But because he says, hi, welcome, and he knows their names and he's smiling, it means that he can be strict, but it's still nice. I like that. Good observation. What did you know?
Just like what you mentioned, obviously
I want you guys to talk about what did he do when there was a student who was talking in his class, and how does that relate to what we've learned today? Will you guys go ahead and talk about that? So what did you notice? You're already done sharing. So what was the best thing that you guys said?
He said that they have a service to keep the students occupied when they first walk.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Did he seem like he knew what he was doing? Or was he kind of just making it up as he went along?
No.
Yeah. Did he have clear expectations for his students?
And I also said when he saw someone who was off task, he asked him where he was, and he privately talked to him and said, like, you'll be house.
Yeah, like he respects his students even though he's being really strict. Awesome. Cool. So, really, I mean, like I said, this video goes through his entire first day, and he's amazing. He does every single thing that we've talked about. So if this is a subject that interests you, if you would like to learn how to have a great first day of school, I highly recommend going to this video. It's called Classroom Management. Ooh, long. Day 1, or what is it?
It's like week 1.
Week 1, day 1, yeah. And you can just look it up on YouTube. And like I said, it's really worth your time. You're going to see all of these principles that we've talked about right in action.
38 minutes.
Yeah, it's long, but like I said, worth your time. So, we're going to go ahead and finish up. There it is. With, I want to know what you guys have learned today. So I'm going to give you a card, and I want you to write down what you've learned, and one way that you can apply it to your classroom. Now, we're each going to be in different kinds of classrooms, right? I'm going to be in an elementary classroom in the United States, and that's not where all of you are going to be. So I want you to think about what you would actually do to apply these things in the classroom where you will be in the future. So those are the 2 things to do. Something that you learned today, and a specific idea of how you can apply it to your future classroom. And because of time, as you're finishing up, I'm just going to read this last quote from the article. He says, "The beginning of school is critical. What you do on the first days of school to affect the lives of your students will determine your success the rest of the year." And I think that that's true. I think that if we start strong and we develop or establish clear expectations, that we can really help students reach those expectations, that we can be an impactful teacher. So I want you to finish that when you can. But more importantly, I want you to hold on to these things and really apply them in your future classrooms. But does anybody have any questions before we end up?
Just go back to this.
Yes. All right, and when you're done, you can go ahead and give the card to me, and you're done.
But part of your actual closure would be pass it to the left?
Yeah,
and then
but
the
we've
right?
already used so much time.
Oh, good. What's going next?
Yeah, you can go ahead and turn off the video. You don't need to see me stand here and wait for cards. I mean, they could. Yeah, and if you could please put your name on the back or on the front so that I know who had the brilliant ideas. Thanks.